to this first edition of Tiger Talks. It's something I'm really proud of. The idea of Tiger Talks was to have our own Warrensville Heights alumni come and share their journey past graduation and beyond. And I'm really proud to have Imani Edwards as my first guest. I thought she'd be the perfect person to kick this program off with. Everyone knows her, everyone loves her, and if you don't know her, curious about her, I've known her, I think as long as I've been alive, and I'm proud to say that she's an alum just like me, and just like many of you tuning in. So right now, I just want to thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being curious about the program, and I'm really excited to show you what else we have to come. But for now, I'm going to switch over to Imani so she could start telling us her story, how she went from an alum of Warrensville Heights High School to the executive assistant to the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marsha Fudge. So, Imani.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Saida, for the wonderful introduction. I wasn't sure what to expect for tonight, but I am clearly in the presence of family. Y'all can please take your cameras off so I can see your faces, if appropriate, but I will just go ahead and get started. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I know this will be on rebroadcast later, so I also want to make sure I get on the record that I thank Superintendent Jolly for the opportunity, Mayor Sellers, all staff and elected officials for their leadership, and also for some point or another taking the time to pour into me and inspire me to be who and where I am today. If y'all didn't know, I have so much love for all those in the friendly city of Warrensville Heights, and I'm very excited to be with you all tonight. So this evening, I will just be taking you through my life's journey, focusing on one of my favorite mottos of "It takes a village." From as far as I can remember, having a village has been an integral piece to my journey. I can acknowledge that every step of the way, being able to lean into my village has helped not only in shaping what is considered to be my success, but also what has shaped me into the person that I am today. Like some of you watching, I was born and raised in Warrensville Heights, Ohio, and a proud alumna of the Warrensville Heights City School District. I attended Eastwood Elementary School alongside my two younger brothers. And while I'm saddened that most of the building is no longer standing, I am definitely thankful for the friendship and the memories that I will cherish for a lifetime, and very much excited for the future of what the educational building will soon look like in the city of Warrensville Heights. When I think about Eastwood, I am most grateful of many of the teachers that I had: Miss Harris in kindergarten, Mrs. Booker in the first grade, Mrs. Phoenix in the second, and Miss Williams in the third. Teachers who always pushed me and encouraged me. It is because of their investment in my success that I knew that I could and should, they knew that I could and should be challenged more throughout my academia. Outside of my families, my teachers at Eastwood was one of the first examples of that extended village. Due to desires of my parents to afford me the best education that they could, after third grade, I transferred to an all-girls private school called Hathaway Brown, located in Shaker Heights, for a more optimal educational experience. Back in the day, I was a little bit of a nerd, so when I heard about the opportunity of transferring schools, I was very excited. I had the opportunity for more rigorous courses, a chance to meet new people, having the opportunity to try new things that would take me completely out of my comfort zone. So naturally, there were a few bumps in the road. At Eastwood, I never had to think about how I should act or how I would be perceived in being one of the only ones that looked like me, because I was, of course, surrounded by staff and faculty and students that looked just like me. However, at Hathaway Brown, all of that changed as I was now one of 4 Black girls in my entire grade. Now in hindsight, it's a lot for a 9-year-old to process, but even then I knew that I was loved and supported by my family. Again, many of those who are here today. And it is because of them and my faith in God that I knew I would be okay. While the next 7 years at Hathaway Brown were some of the toughest and greatest, it molded me in a way that only that school in those circumstances could have done. Unknowing to me then, and what I am most grateful for now, is that it really planted the seed for the love of my people, my Black people, because we're far and few in between at HB, as I pointed out. And each day we all had to really stick together, uplift one another, and even defend each other when necessary. Again, another example of my village. So fast forward 7 years to the end of my sophomore year at Hathaway Brown, where I was faced with a choice. And although it was presented by my parents as a choice, I knew that I really had no other option, unfortunately, but to leave and go back to the Warrensville Heights City School system. When I was told that I had to return to Warrensville Heights, honestly, I wasn't too excited at the time. Everyone that I knew from Eastwood had moved on. They were attending other high schools in the Cleveland area. And at the end of the day, the school district was, quite frankly, in the same place, if not worse than when it was when I left those 7 years ago. But being who I am, I was going to make the best of it. And I am so very glad that I did. Returning to Warrensville Heights was everything that I needed. It amplified swag and school spirit. I was able to meet incredible teachers, colleagues, lifelong friends who knew how to make something out of nothing. And I soon realized that it would be these people in this school district that would be the segue to where I am today in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm going to take you back on a little trip. We're here now in my senior year of high school, where all the seniors had to complete a senior project. Now, the goal of this project was to allow students the opportunity to test the waters in the field that they wanted to enter post-graduation. It was at that time that I decided that I wanted to intern in the congressional office of Congresswoman Marcia Fudge. And so from then, I'm gonna give you all a quick story. So I had the opportunity to meet Miss Fudge when I was about 5 years old, when she served as the first African-American woman mayor of the city of Warrensville Heights. Now, at that time, my mom had also just won her election for a city council person, and that's how we were connected. And I don't know about y'all, but I think I know most of the people on the chat. So I do know that we all have parents or guardians that just exploit your talent. You know what I mean? I definitely had that. And that woman was my mom, Kimberly Edwards. She constantly made sure that I was involved in something, whether it was singing, dancing, giving speeches, each and every Black History Month. Your girl was working. I was young, but I was working. I felt like. So I know she's on here listening. So Mom, before you completely freak out, I am saying this to say that I am so incredibly thankful for what you did for me back then. Both of my parents, but again, really my mom, as she was already in the space of government, made sure that she gave me an opportunity to use my gifts at each and every chance. Now, I don't remember the exact age, but when I was in middle school, there was a special city council meeting that I attended because my mom put me on the agenda. So I had to make sure I was there. After rehearsing a speech that I was preparing to give around MLK Day, my mom wanted me to give that exact same speech during council meeting. And so Miss Fudge, being who she was, being who she is, a supporter of youth, who gives us plenty of opportunities when possible, allowed me to address the council. And I know Ms. Fudge doesn't remember this, but right after I gave my speech in the council chambers in front of everyone, she looked at me and said, "You know what, you keep going. One day you're gonna make it big, and if I could ever support you along the way, I would." So of course, then I didn't know what the power of manifestation was, but man, has that moment come a little full circle? And we will get to that part in just a second. So back to my senior project, I knew that I wanted to be in government, right? Again, my mom was serving in the city of Warrensville as a city council person. I already knew how most of the city level of government operated. However, I wasn't familiar with how government operated on a federal or national level. So Congresswoman Fudge just so happened to have one of her district offices being located in Warrensville Heights. Immediately, I applied and interned in her district office for a few months to complete my project. Interning there, if you know Miss Fudge, you know that it was just a little bit intimidating, but I knew that I couldn't let her down, I couldn't let my family down, and I had to do my best. From that point, again, not even realizing the depth of what was even happening on the larger scale of life, noticed that my village in the professional sense was really beginning to take form. Upon graduating from Warrensville Heights, I moved to Athens, Ohio, where I attended college at Ohio University. And for me, college was the place where I did a lot of maturing. And I really had to hone in and realize the power of my village. For me, college brought on a lot of things that I had to experience, not only for the first time, but for the first time alone, away from everything and everyone that I knew. There were a lot of tears, heartbreak, loss, overworking myself, underperforming in class, depression. I mean, the list really went on for me. And while I wish this would have happened sooner, happened earlier, a few years later, honestly, at campus, it hit me. I have to find my village, to find the success, to find this peace. Back in Cleveland, things were easier. I knew where everything was. My family was there and I was comfortable. But in the next phase of my life, in order to garner the success that I had once experienced, I had to be intentional in cultivating a village that worked for me. After trial and error and many more mishaps, I found people in places that worked. Those people, that village, literally ended up saving my life. After I realized I would need 2 additional semesters before graduating, I knew that I just wanted to really make the best of it. So most of my class had already graduated in the spring semester, and I knew that I was not about to spend a summer in Athens, Ohio by myself. No shade to Appalachia, Ohio, but that just wasn't for me. So in the summer of 2018, I moved back home and got to work. I was granted the opportunity to intern at the city of Warrensville Heights in the space, in the Office of Strategic Partnerships. And as I reflected, out of all of the internship experiences that I, had up until that point, that one particular, being back home, working on behalf of my people, was honestly just my favorite one to date. I was able to pour into my community, the village that made me, and the place that I love so dearly. As I neared the end of my internship experience there, I had to decide what was next. If I had it my way, I was going to stay at home. My mom started applying for jobs, move out, get an apartment back in Cleveland. But God has a really funny way of getting your attention and saying, no, I'm going to need you to go a little bit bigger than that. So after much counsel from my mentors at the time, I decided to apply just for one more internship. However, this internship for the first time ever would have me to move outside of the state of Ohio to Washington, D.C. Although I wasn't sure that I would get in, again, there is power in your village. It was a plus that I was not only a constituent of Ohio's 11th congressional district, which then was under the leadership of Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, but that 4 years ago, as a senior in high school for my senior project, as I mentioned earlier, that I interned for her, right? My internship experience then mattered more than ever in that very moment. I was able to submit a letter of recommendation from the Congresswoman, which I know helped tremendously in having her throw her support to me, for my application. What felt so large and out of reach then, yet again, was made possible because of my village. My internship experience was definitely rocky at first. If you guys know, I literally did not like DC at all. To me, people were rude. Things were just moving so quickly. I didn't have my car, and I just didn't feel like I belonged there. However, I had to decide that I only had a few months, so I had to figure out what I was going to do. I was very stubborn in the beginning, and God knew that I needed, again, my village just to really get me through to that next phase of life. And even furthermore to that point, because he knew, with no prior planning or coordination, my very best friend, my girl Kay Lewis, he's on the call as well, from middle school, acquired housing, no joke, right across the street from where my internship had placed us for housing. And I mean right across the street. I knew then that this was not a mistake. And although I still wasn't the biggest fan of DC, I knew something greater was in store for me. And I will spare you all the details of that experience, but what I will say is that resilience and discernment will protect you and take you very far. I'm thankful for my cohort, my best friend, and my family for getting me through fall 2018 in Washington, D.C. At the conclusion of my internship in fall 2018, I decided to move to D.C. and pursue a full-time career on Capitol Hill. Each and every step, God made provisions on behalf and for me. And for me, that is really how I knew I was operating in a greater purpose. From the village that I created during my internship in DC, I was able to secure a job on Capitol Hill, and something that I was very proud of and I didn't take lightly. Now, looking back, I definitely should have called the Congresswoman to let her know that I was moving to DC, but I figured she had done more than enough in getting me the internship in the first place, that I couldn't dare ask, for a job. But I was definitely wrong. It wasn't long after that I started working for another member of Congress, and I quickly noticed that it wasn't a good fit, but hey, I got there. I was going to work really hard to stay and make the best of it. I promise not even 3 weeks go by, and I get an email from Congresswoman Fudge's office, from one of her previous staffers, saying something to the effect of, "Hey, Imani, we hear you're in DC. The Congresswoman would like to meet with you immediately." So I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I was definitely terrified. I'm like, she's gonna scold me and yell at me. Not really yell at me, but she's gonna scold me. She's gonna be mad that I didn't tell her that I was in DC. But again, I knew I had to see her, so I got on her calendar as soon as possible. Now, I really cannot make this part up. When I walked in, not to sound too cliche, but it really felt like home. When you walked into her office, there was a huge quilt that was hanging, that literally spanned most of the wall. A quilt that she still has hanging at her office at HUD today, that she received from the senior citizens in the quilting club at the Civic and Senior Center. Yes, the one right on Emory Road in Warrensville Heights. And surrounding that were photos and articles that pointed to the amazing work that she was able to do for the district. Reflecting on this story, I still just in disbelief, still get chills, because for me, it was really the coolest thing in the world to see me, this little girl from Warrensville Heights in this big city that felt so foreign. I soon found that it really did have a piece of home carved out that was just waiting for me to find it. I will spare you all all the details of what happened next of our conversation, but long story short, she was like, "Listen, I'm looking for a scheduler." And I'm like, okay. And so, not having any scheduling experience before, she definitely was very matter of fact in saying, "This isn't an easy job, but I need someone that I can trust." She went on to say, "I know you've worked for me in the past. You've had some experience in DC through your internship with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and I know I can trust you." And after that, ahead of this talk, I did ask her today. I said, "Hey, what made you hire me?" And she goes, "You're from the district, and outside of trusting you and outside of your loyalty, we needed someone on this team that was from the district." And so, shortly thereafter that conversation, in 2019, I put in my 2 weeks notice at my old office, and shortly thereafter, I began working for her. And that is a decision that I do not regret one bit. A decision that has brought me to now serve in the Biden-Harris administration at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as her executive assistant, and a decision that was made possible by nothing more than being a part of an amazing village. I will end with this. Your village matters, and it really does extend beyond your family. Your village is up to you, and the only requirement is that you cultivate it and that you put these people in place. Work hard, be intentional, and know that someone out there is willing to help and elevate you into your purpose. You are worthy, and there are so many people who can support you along the way. Thank you all so much for tuning into my story. And Saida, I'm looking forward to any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Imani. I knew that it was a long journey, but I didn't know how long or how much went into it. So it's really amazing to know. And I went to Gisela with her, and we went to Ms. Brown's house together. Little brag.
I should have put that part in there. We literally walked across the street. We'd hop the back fence. Oh my God, we were doing a lot. But
that's why you can't play Marco Polo not in a pool. Okay, but one question I have for you is that you're the class of 2014 coming out of Warrensville Heights High School, our beloved high school. So I will ask, what is one of your fondest memories of being a Tiger?
Ooh, I feel like so many. So the one, my safe answer, I would definitely say school spirit, right? So for me, at HB, we had, pep rallies and things of that nature, but it's an all-girls school, so definitely different from a city that's a minority city. You know, we're Black. We have a band. We got steppers. We got cheerleaders. You know, it was a whole thing. And so for me, obviously coming from my family, I'm like, this is super dope. So just even just seeing all the alum come. You know, we say we bleed blue and gold, and we really do bleed blue and gold. Okay, so it was really just cool to just be surrounded by so much love and camaraderie at most of, like, you know, our pep rallies, homecoming, things of that nature. So probably one of my favorites, one of my favorite memories.
All right. And just one more question for me, just so that we can learn. As a resident of Warrensville Heights and as an alum, what is something that you would like to see from the school district? You know, looking back, you were able to do so many things in the high school. What's something that you would like for future students to be able to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as I mentioned a few times, again, my mom, she served on city council. And so for me, naturally, I was very immersed in everything that the city was doing. But for everyone, that wasn't their experience, right? They didn't know everything that was happening. They probably only knew about home days and things that were happening at the high school. But there was so much more going on. And so for me, I think something that I hope to see in the school district is an activation of, you know, our city government, you know, much more active with our students, but more importantly, having our alumni much more, you know, very active with cultivating our students. There's so many people who have graduated and who are a part of the Warrensville, you know, alumni network, who have done great things, you know, from trade to government, entrepreneurship, so many things. And I think it's important for our children to see that, not just in a face that looks like them, but comes from where they come from. And so that's definitely something that I hope that the city can implement more of moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Imani. And anyone else who's present, if you have a question, please feel free to ask. If you'd like to write it in the chat, I'll read it. If you'd like to ask Imani yourself, please just one at a time. I know everybody wants to talk to Imani, but
I can't. No, this is family too. So literally, go ahead and shoot. Y'all have anything? I feel like y'all probably know most about me. So.
If you have any questions, please feel free to ask her.
Hello, I'll ask a question unless somebody has their hand up. Hello, my name is Jasmine, and Imani, my question for you really stems from today's historic nomination of what I hope, or who I hope will be our future Supreme Court Justice for the United States. What advice would you give to other brown girls, especially in Black History Month, or brown skinned people in general, about setting goals and setting audacious goals, and times perhaps when you might have been a little nervous about setting or making some big moves that have gotten you to where you are now?
Yeah, no, thank you for your question. I think, just to simply put it, you just got to do it. For me, again, I never thought that I would leave Cleveland. The furthest I ever left was Athens, Ohio, and then I was still in Ohio 3 hours away. So I was comfortable, I was safe. But for me, just even the matriculation, the maturity, life that just happened to me, I know it could not have happened in the comfort of, you know, what I knew to be familiar. So for Black and brown girls everywhere, just do it, dream big. Again, tapping into my message from today, lean into your village, lean into your network, set these smart, smaller incremental goals. I think that will help you get to where you want to get. Sometimes you may not see yourself in these spaces, like the Supreme Court nominee that we have, which will be the first, but it doesn't mean that, you know, she wasn't intentional in cultivating her path to be prepared when the opportunity presented itself. So I would say just take the leap of faith, tap into your village, and take the necessary steps of preparation before you get to where you want to go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions for Imani, our superstar? It was really great listening to her story. I just felt nothing but pride. And I'm so glad to say she's someone that I know from when I was this big to now being this big and both being graduates of Warrensville Heights and both just trying to make our city and our school district proud. So if anyone has any other questions, please.
I think we have one in the chat. Yeah, I think we have one in the chat.
Okay. All right. You can take it from here, Imani.
Oh, okay. So the question comes from Marquise. That's my man, y'all, in case y'all didn't know. Okay, hey Marquise. What is your vision for cultivating a pipeline for Tiger alum and continuing the legacy that you are living in today? Ooh, that's a good question. So for me, actually, this was birthed when I was interning in Warrensville when I was in the Office of Strategic Partnerships. The Warrensville Alumni Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 that we created for alum for current students. And I'm not sure if Mr. Jolly is on here still. I know I saw his name earlier, but we wanted to be very intentional with kind of getting people again who graduated from Warrensville to talk to Warrensville students. So for me, that's definitely a goal to just get that to get that revamped to see how we can be strategic in making sure that our people are talking to our people, that our people are pouring into our students, and making sure that not only they have those opportunities, but they're prepared to accept those opportunities when the opportunity when it comes and presents itself. So I hope that answered you. Okay. And the next question, you are such an inspiration. Oh, that's what I want to say, but thank you, Regina. You're such an inspirational voice. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Antoine, hey, what is next for you on this journey? Clearly you're the best and most blessed days are ahead. I don't know. I really don't know just yet. For me, as you know, I talked a lot about Miss Fudge on this chat today, and not even realizing again what meeting her at 5 would turn into today. But she always says, if you serve the people, that the people will serve you. Take care of the people and the people will take care of you. And so I'm not sure what's next, but I know I will, whatever it is, it will be taking care of the people and hoping that that is returned. So we'll see. I'm gonna let y'all know when I know. You have this next question comes from Addie. My HUD sister. Hey, Addie, you have some tough jobs, including your current one, but you are always so positive. How do you stay motivated? Wow, how do I stay motivated? I think for me, I really had to sometimes remove myself from the situation at hand. I think often, and we know it happens often, people get involved with certain things and their heart may not be in it, but because your heart's in it, you're just very emotional, and then you kind of create this very toxic, overwhelming work environment. And so for me, I had to realize, hey, taking myself out of it and evaluating the situation more objectively and more holistically, so that I can come back and bring my full self to those who really need it, like our youth, like people who truly just don't know where to go, is something that I've been trying to be intentional about doing. And also, again, my village, right? I'm quick to call my mom, or quick to call my fiance and be like, I just need to get this out. Give me 5 minutes. Okay. And I'm back. So sometimes, you kind of have to scream, cry, yell, let it out. But as soon as you can get over that quicker and get back to the work, I think that's what really keeps me going. So. Oh my God, you guys have a lot of questions now. I love this. Okay, can you briefly explain what your daily responsibilities include? That's a very hard question because I feel like what doesn't it include will probably be a shorter list to let you guys know. But anything, my first priority is taking care of the boss, right? So whatever that looks like, if it's making sure, she has her favorite drink, she has her snacks, so that, she's ready to go, doing that. But also, of course, making sure that she has the material that she needs. Often I let her know that I'm happy to be the bad guy for you. She obviously knows a lot of people, and so a lot of people want her time. Hey, can I talk to you for a second? Hey, can you come to this? Hey, can you do that? And I'm like, no, she can't. She's not available. So for me, being so young, and I started working for her when I was like 21, 22. And so I'm telling these very senior people know. And if you know people in government, they don't like being told what to do. And so luckily for me, I don't mind, turning on my boss hat and, just letting them know she can't do it. She's not available. But this is how we can engage you guys down the line. So being the bad guy for a good reason is another part of my job. And also, I think just trying to be intentional with making sure that she is painted in the best light is another huge responsibility that I try to take on well. By that, I mean, everyone doesn't always have access to her because she's such a high level principal, but being intentional with managing that, saying that, she's busy, but we can, do this for you. She can't come to your event, but we can do pre-recorded events. So, a lot of strategy, a lot of, managing expectations and emotions are the top things that I would say that I do on a daily basis for the secretary or in my daily responsibilities. This question's from Alan. What is one thing you would tell your 18-year-old self now looking back? That's a good question. I think I could tell my 18-year-old self one thing. It would just be to stay the course. I think that oftentimes I really got caught up in people pleasing and feeling like I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to, so really just for me, putting on those blockers and just staying the course. Obviously there's a passion for people. Obviously there's a passion, for, minorities, for me, Black people, right? And so we know that, and each day, just tunnel vision, work towards that goal. Like my mom always used to tell me, the parties, the traveling, all that will be there. But, just stay the course, and everything that is coming to you will come to you. And there's nothing else that you have to do outside of stay and operate in your purpose. So Kayla, for aspiring, y'all got these questions going. For aspiring politicals, can you speak on the CBCF internship application process? Also, can you speak on professional development trainings CBCF interns receive? Do you recommend the program? So the application process, they accept interns throughout the year, spring, summer, and fall. And when the application goes live, you essentially fill out some questions. I believe you have to have 2 to 3 letters of recommendation. You accept your you submit your transcript, and you have to answer, a few prompt questions, short answer questions. So they, look at your writing style, things of that nature. So my first pointer is always just follow the instructions. Unfortunately, you'll be surprised. Some people submitted their transcript, but it's something that, was a PDF version and not the actual official, transcript from, the university. And that unfortunately would disqualify you. If it says 3 recommendations, give them 3 recommendations. If you give 1 recommendation, you're disqualified. So very simple, just read the rules, follow them, and make sure you do, and again, make sure you follow the rules. Professional development trainings, yes. So a part of our internship experience was for them to offer respective professional development training series. They helped us write our resume, write our cover letters, giving us interview prep, what you should wear, to the office, professional versus professional, casual versus casual. So it was really amazing. They brought in, we were able to listen to members of Congress, folks in the lobbying space, folks all over, from all over in government. And so it was really cool to just kind of heed from all of their wisdom and take notes. And it was really inspiring to see Black people in these senior level positions taking the time to speak to us. So definitely recommend the program, and happy to do whatever I can if there's anyone interested. One more question I see. What is the best advice you ever received? It's a really good question. And Belita, I miss you so much. I would honestly say, just again, keeping in theme with my boss, honestly, again, serve the people and the people will serve you. I think people look at government and they approach it in this very like high level. I need to be studied. I need to have these degrees. I need to know this legislation, da, 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 which you absolutely want to make sure that you're prepared. But talk to people matter of factly, right? You don't want to talk over their heads. You want to talk to them the way that they can receive the information and feel like they're seen, like they're heard. So as much as you can, get to know the people so that you can best serve the people is probably the best advice that I've received in the space of government. Okay, another question. You worked with Suffrage in Congress and became familiar. Another different impact. Okay, so I'm sorry. I worked with Secretary Fudge in Congress, and now that I am with her in HUD, what is the most shocking thing about HUD? I'm gonna be careful because my HUD people are on here, but no. The most interesting thing about HUD for me, I would say that it's so big. For me, coming from the congressional district, you have the congressional office and you have your district office, but in the agencies, there are literally thousands of people that work at these agencies. So, a staff meeting that was once, no more than 20 to 25 people, we're now looking at upwards of 100 of just the political appointees like myself. But knowing that, the staff spans literally thousands was probably the biggest shock to me. And so just even watching and being in awe of how government policy kind of moves through one building before it even gets out was very interesting and a much different dynamic than I was used to coming from a congressional office. Okay, we're gonna cut the questions off before they ask another question. So no, I'm just kidding. There's more questions. That's fine. That's the last question in the chat that I see, though.
I have one question I want to verbally ask.
Yes, ma'am.
I know oftentimes you speak about community and how important it is to you. And I know when you left and went to DC, in my mind, I thought you were going to go for the internship and come back home, but you didn't do that. So can you talk a little bit about community and why it's important to you and some of the things you hope to accomplish in whatever community you find yourself?
Yeah, no, yeah. So obviously that's my mom, y'all. I just knew I was coming back home. Even when I was in the internship, I told everybody in my cohort, I'm like, yeah, y'all good luck trying to find a job. I'm going back to Warrensville. I got something lined up if I need to. But no, again, I really was steadfast and prayerful, and again at the very last minute decided to stay and move to DC. But for me, I at the end of the day, I did it because for me, I wanted to know that it was possible. For those who don't know, my family, we are all for the most part in Cleveland, and I can get to anyone in like 10 minutes or less, 15 minutes, max. And so for me, it was great. But like I said earlier, it was comfortable. And so for me, I really wanted to just see that it was possible. And again, it was hard. I was out here making not the most money in a very expensive city, but I knew I had certain standards, and so I had to figure it out. I had to, I worked, multiple jobs at one point in time. I'm working from 8 to midnight some days, but it's really those long hours and those dark nights that no one hears but you and God that really has to get you through. And so for me, it really was a matter of just seeing what was possible and really just challenging myself to see if I could do it. And so definitely thankful for the leap, for the jump, and grateful that it's just continued to pay dividends to this day. So I miss my mommy and my family and my community all the time, but I try to come back home. I try to come back home as much as I can, but again, I know that, they're holding me down, that they got me. So that's always super helpful to be encouraged by them as well on this journey. So, hi, friend. Okay, no, that was it. Thank you for your question, Miss Edwards.
Okay. Imani, I have one more question.
Okay.
Since you are an alum, do you keep in contact with any of your classmates from Warrensville or just anyone in general?
Definitely. So I was like, that's my girl, but I stopped. But Crystal was in the chat. No, so this is my girl. We'll tell the story. We met like in the second or third grade at like a camp at the old Warrensville Library, and we've just been, you know, best. Or then we stayed in contact a little bit, but you know, it was really post like all the social media, blah blah blah. But once I got back to Warrensville, she was there. Literally, we've been, you know, thick as thieves ever since. So that is my very best friend. You can see she's always supporting me. So thank you for being here today. But yes, a lot of them, more so, you know, through social media, through supporting their respective business ventures and making sure that we, you know, continue to help support each other. But yes, as much as I can connect with alum in my class, I do when I'm home, you know, trying to go out and catch up. You know, I make sure that I do that. You know, it's important. So definitely.
Okay, are there any more questions? I know we're getting close to 8 o'clock, but if anybody has anything pressing or they just want a little nosy, no, I'm just kidding. Should just feel free to ask anything. But I just want to say that I'm really grateful to have Imani again be my first guest speaker on Tiger Talks. I really created this with the idea of modeling it a little bit after TED Talks, but you know, still making Warrensville Heights City School District the focus in our alumni. A lot of times people graduate, we wonder where they are, or if they're somewhere amazing, we wonder how they got there. And so it's really nice to have a program such as this where people can share their own story and explain, this is how I got here. It took a lot of work, but it's possible. I think it's important for our fellow alumni, our community, and our students to see that. And so I'm just amazed by everything Imani's done. Every time I get on my phone and I'm on Instagram or something, I'm like, oh, look at Imani. She graduated college. Oh, look at Imani. She's engaged and she's getting married. That's so adult. Oh, look at she's like in Capitol Hill. It's so cool. So I'm amazed by everything she's done. And I'm sure everyone else is as well. And I'm grateful to be someone that knows her.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right. I believe that's all at the moment. Did you receive any other comments or questions straight to you, Imani?
No, we're good. We're good. Okay. Thank you so much again. We can give folks about 16 minutes back in their evening. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So I'll just share some last minute announcements from the school district. Okay, for all alumni, community members, right now there is a Black History program that's been uploaded to our school district's YouTube page. A lot of the students and staff worked very hard on this, and I've witnessed it. So it'd be wonderful if everyone could go watch and support for the Black History program. Also, there is a scholarship drive currently going on, and it's open. And we really like for people to donate whatever you can. There's no set dollar amount. There's no maximum or minimum. But anything we'd appreciate is for our students, is to provide better aid for them, for these upcoming seniors. We want to make sure that everyone is able to receive a scholarship, whatever it is they do. And then also the final roar for the high school is coming up. You may know or may not know, but our high school and new middle school are currently being built. Mr. Jolly is running in and out of the building all the time, checking on construction across the street from my house. Poor little Eastwood's being knocked down. It hurts, but it's necessary for the future of our school district. And so we will be eventually posting about a final roar committee for the high school in the upcoming demolition of the old high school after the new high school is built. So that will be posted eventually on our social media page. And also, if you did not know, the junior high / middle school on Warrensville Center Road is gone. So I know a lot of people have many memories there, but all those memories help build the new memories that students will form at these new schools. And we just want our students to have the best And, you know, Mr. Jolly and everyone at the Board of Education and the city is working so hard to make sure that our students can have the best and be the best in the state. And I see that every day. And I'm really proud to say that I work at the Board of Education, doing whatever it is, working with alumni or even making social media posts. But I'm proud to be a Tiger, and I'm sure a lot of other people are, especially Imani. So,
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers! Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight, for participating. This really means a lot. And this will be a monthly program where we find different people from different classes. It's intergenerational. And we just want to make sure that people from different walks of life share their story, and that everybody can see where they've come from and where they're going and where they've been. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.